The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Were you frustrated at all with Logano, or is it hard to, you know you're going to have lap traffic and you just need to have the car that's able to, and you just have to kind of pick the right lane?
He's nobody's friend for a reason, so there you have it.
Watching it live, it looked like there was a shot that, if you wanted to, you could have just dumped Harvick. Is it the fact that you have too much respect for him to do that? Why, what is the reason you don't just sail it in there and do something like that?
Actually, it never crossed my mind. You always try to win races clean. You always try to race hard and race clean and get the job done right. And if that lap car wasn't there, I would have blown it in on the outside or the inside, and maybe we would have banged each other's doors or whatever and had a greater finish to the checkered. But some of them dipshit kids don't know what the hell they're doing or where they're at and can't stay out of the way. So nothing like a Gase and a Smithley.
How do you feel about continuing your chase for the championship in Las Vegas next weekend?
We'll be eliminated in the next round, so it's okay.
Welcome to episode 172 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Thursday, September 24th, 2020. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am not joined tonight by my co-host, James Cush. At least not yet. James is going to jump on a little bit, discuss some news. We had some big news this week, but if you haven't heard, if you didn't see on Facebook, James and his wife, Erin, had their new baby over the last weekend. And so James is taking a little break from the podcast, but congratulations to him and his wife, and all the Kutch family's doing well, and yeah, so he'll, like I said, be back in a little bit in this episode to talk about some news and break some things down, because like I said, a lot has gone on this week. But you're stuck with just me for right now. You get a little clip of Kyle Busch during the intro tonight. Salty as ever, coming home second place. Close second, about a 50-lap duel at the end. Battle with Kevin Harvick, your winner of the Bass Pro Shops NRA night race from Bristol Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick gets his 9th win of the season. He's one away from double digits. I saw a stat. It's been like since 2007, I think, since we've had a driver win double-digit races in a season. So Kevin Harvick's certainly on a championship winning season right now. It's been pretty impressive. It'll be interesting to see what else he can do. I think he's the favorite for the championship for sure. Denny Hamlin certainly was a favorite, certainly was in the same league as Harvick for a while, but really underperformed in this round. Of course, he gets into the next round, no problem. But this round coming up is not a good round for Denny Hamlin. So, I don't know. It seems like that the Hamlin's team's choking a little bit at the end here, as we've seen him do in the past. So, we'll have to see what happens. But right now, Kevin Harvick, I don't think he can beat him. He, like I said, outdueled Kyle Busch, arguably the best Bristol driver we have right now, to get the win on Saturday night, the NRA night race. Just a heads up before I get discussing too much of this, you'll hear the little crackling in my voice. Do have a little bit of a cold. Fortunately, it's not COVID. I got to do the COVID test, which was not as unpleasant as I expected it to be, but came back negative. So good to go. No COVID here, just a cold. So I'm dealing with that. So I'm a little under the weather this week. James is gone. It's going to be a fun ride. So there you go. Let's see. Taking a look at the results from Bristol Motor Speedway. As we said, Kevin Harvick gets the win. 226 laps led in this race. Certainly didn't luck into a win by any means. He was definitely the dominant car of the day. And second to him was Kyle Busch, who led 159 laps. Both of them guys in the triple digits. The only two drivers in the double digits beyond them are Brad Keselowski, who led 82 laps. Keselowski ends up finishing 34th with power steering issues. Had to go behind the wall for a little bit. Didn't make minimum speed, so they had to go back and repair that. He was running at the end of the race though. And then Chase Elliott with 23 laps led on the day as well. Chase didn't do what I expected. I expected he was going to be one of the front runners all day, and he finished 7th. Got a top 10 finish out of the deal, but certainly wasn't the contender that we expected here at Bristol. Kyle Busch, of course, started the race from the rear, had inspection issues at the beginning, was able to charge up through the field, and finished second in stage 1. Won stage 2. Certainly looked like this was going to be one of those Kyle Busch type races, and had some issues with Joey Logano at the end. We heard the reference in the intro that Kyle wasn't too happy with Joey. Of course, TJ Majors was on Door Bumper Clear this week, his show. If you haven't listened to it, he defended Joey, said basically that they did what they'd been doing, and so Harvick had to pass him too. Kyle wasn't able to do it. Harvick gets the lead back. Of course, Harvick had lost the lead due to lap traffic prior to that. So notice Kyle didn't have any complaints about that lap traffic. So Eric Jones comes home with a third place finish. Great run for him after missing the playoffs. Tyler Reddick, a nice quiet fourth place finish for him. So what do we think? It was an exciting finish to the race. Wasn't a real big Bristol type race. We got to see some excitement there in the spring. Some drivers upset with each other. We went back for the All-Star race. We had a little bit of it in the preliminary race for the All-Star race, but the All-Star race was pretty mild. And then this one was pretty quiet. We only had 5 caution flags for 50 laps. Of course, 3 of those. One was a competition caution. The other 2 were stage breaks. So really only 2 caution flags for incidents on the day. So not your typical Bristol Motor Speedway race. And I have a couple theories on this. First of all, they did not put PJ1 down on Thursday for the Truck Series race, and that was because of the weather. They had rain leading up to the race, and surprisingly were able to mostly get it in when it was supposed to start, but certainly was some delays and concerned about delays, and they just didn't have time to put the PJ1 down and make sure that it was down the way it needed to before the truck race, so they ran without it. And then the Xfinity race, they put a small amount down and decided that I guess they liked the racing in the Truck Series race better than the Xfinity Series race, and so they chose not to put more PJ1 down on Saturday for the Cup Series race, and so we ran without PJ1. Really widened the track out quite a bit. I think, we have this expectation that Bristol Motor Speedway is going to be a demolition derby, and part of that is because we had a lot of that back in the day. If you go back to the old night races, and maybe I'm just remembering the good ones, but there were a lot of cautions. There was a lot of contact. It was a one groove track. You had to root people out of the way to get by them. But it's hard to think back to, was it really like that all the time? Or was it just, that's what we remember are those moments? This is a great, if you want to compare it to your local short track, you go to your local short track, go to your local half mile asphalt race, you're not going to see wreck after wreck after wreck. You're going to see racing like this. That's, you're going to have some green flag runs. You might see a couple spins here and there. You're not going to see a ton of cars get torn up on most nights, because if you did, these local guys wouldn't be able to keep going. They wouldn't be able to afford to do it. So really, this isn't out of the ordinary for short track racing. It's just, it's not what Bristol has been billed as over the years. So I think we're a little spoiled maybe with some great races in the past. I think we're really hurt by the marketing engine that continues to show, how many times have we seen Earnhardt spin Labonte at the line coming to the checkered flag? That was so long ago. We haven't had racing like that. You look back at the highlights, and they're all, 90s, early 2000s. We just haven't seen that type of racing all the time. There's these specific races that it happens. And if you look at, we had 3 races at Bristol this year, 3 Cup races at Bristol this year, and 2 of those 3 had somebody pissed off at somebody else. I think we accomplished what we were looking to accomplish. We had this race where it, underwhelmed a little bit as far as, people being upset and contact. But, can you ask for more than those last 50 laps of that race? Of those 2 guys, 2 of the best drivers in our sport right now, battling it out back and forth, not knowing who was going to win to the last lap. And not only that, but 3 wide, 2 wide in the corners, lots of passing, multiple grooves. I think if this was any track but Bristol, we would go, wow, this was really great racing. But I think we're really spoiled, and I think we've been kind of duped by the NASCAR marketing machine of what to expect at these races, and I think our expectations are wrong. And what I love to see, the beat 'em, bang 'em, bump them out of the way, root them out of the way, 10 caution Bristol races like we used to see back in the day. Yeah, I'd love it. But I think we need to appreciate what we've got here. This is a great race, great track, still puts on a heck of a show. And yeah, I think I was satisfied Saturday night, despite the fact that we didn't have the carnage that we've seen so many times at Bristol Motor Speedway. Again, if you didn't like what you saw those last 50 laps, I don't know what you're watching, because that was spectacular. Not only that, but if you're, a lot of people hate Kyle Busch. A lot of people love Kevin Harvick. Well, Kevin Harvick beat Kyle Busch. And so, I mean, in the end, I think everybody's got to be happy that, Kyle didn't get the win. So I'm a Kyle Busch fan. I was rooting for him. I was hoping he'd get by him. And it would have been fun if Kyle went in and barreled in the corner and took Harvick out. Yeah, it would have been great. We'd have been excited. There'd have been, people have been mad at each other, or there'd have been a fight on the track. That's awesome. But these guys are also racing for a championship, and there's no point in angering one or the other. I think they do have a lot of respect for each other. Kyle is as immature as Kyle is. He has matured over the years, and I think raced that one smart. Maybe can live another day, as we say, thanks to that. So, but I mean, again, 9 wins for Kevin Harvick. He's not going away. If Busch is going to win a championship, which he says he's not going to, he says he's not going to advance out of the next round. He's going to have to beat Kevin Harvick, and Kevin Harvick's all but locked into the Final Four with the points the way they are. 62 points ahead of 9th place right now, with 62 points ahead of the cut line as we start round number 2 of the NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs. All right, so this was our final race of the round of 16. We lost 4 drivers in the playoff battle Saturday night. Cole Custer falls to the wayside. He's our first one out in the 41 car. William Byron, Ryan Blaney, and Matt DiBenedetto all fall victim to the round of 16. Their their championship hopes are over, but they could still get up as far as 5th place in the point standings, the way the point system works. I don't think any real big surprises there based on the first 2 races of this round going into Bristol. William Byron really certainly was in a place during the race that he could very well have gotten in. It had trouble, gotten an accident, and that ended his day and put him out. Ryan Blaney and Matt DiBenedetto both struggled in this race. Just didn't have it together. Blaney was able to finish 13th. DiBenedetto, let's see, where did he end up? 19th. Just didn't perform in this one. Blaney, so strong at the beginning of the season, just wasn't able to put it together in the playoffs. And I don't think any of these were surprises. They might have been surprises going into the playoffs, but yeah, that's it. We're down to 12 now, moving in, and let's see. Eric Almirola, Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, and Kurt Busch are our 4 right now as we start the playoffs, or start the round of 12 that are on the outside looking in. So we are, let's see, Eric Almirola and Austin Dillon are tied in the 8th and 9th place. Dillon gets the tiebreaker, so he's in 8th. Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer only 1 point out of the transfer position, and Kurt Busch is only 4 points out. So it's obviously really close. Again, we mentioned Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick is 62 points to the good. Denny Hamlin, 43 points to the good. Brad Keselowski, 30 points to the good. Those 3 are looking pretty good. But again, 30 points. I mean, you can gain or lose 20 points just in the first 2 stages of a race. So you never know what's going to happen here. Things can shuffle a little bit. I'm kind of thinking we'll see Kyle, as much as Kyle says he's not going to make it through. He's not going to have to put too much together to get in. I think Kyle gets to the round of 12, or the round of 8. I mean, he's going to move out of this round. Aside from that, outside those top 4, I don't know that anybody there is gonna move back in. I kind of think I'm looking at, prior to the first round here, I would certainly say Austin Dillon would be the odd man out that would get pushed out for Kyle Busch coming in. But I don't think so. I think Austin is going to continue to put together what he's been putting together. I think he's got the confidence. I think he's going to continue to carry it. Do I think he'll move out of the round of 8? No, certainly not. He's not going to advance beyond that. But I think he'll get to the round of 8, and I think Alex Bowman's going to be the guy that's going to fall out of the top 8 and not move on in the next round. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, a lot can happen there, and you never know. But that's my prediction as we head into Las Vegas and into the round of 12. Just looking over the race results, any other notables? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got together with Jimmy Johnson. He was the first car out of the race, finishes 40th with an accident. Rough day for him. William Byron, we mentioned, he had an accident. He ends up finishing 38th. It's not the Bristol of old. We had, 32, 33 of 40 cars still running at the end of this race. So you can run well the entire race and then get in an accident late. And Byron, I guess it was before the halfway point. He made 232 laps, but still finishes 38th. So that's rough. When there's that few cars falling out, it leaves a lot of room at the end of the field if you have trouble late in the race. Some other guys that struggled finished back further than you'd expect. Martin Truex Jr. finishes 24th. Cole Custer, we mentioned him, finished 23rd. Bubba Wallace 22nd. A little bit disappointed with Bubba Wallace. I expected a better run out of him. He certainly run well at Bristol. Denny Hamlin finishes 21st. Just not he led a lap on the day. That was it. So just not what we've expected or come to expect this season from Denny Hamlin. Seems like they're kind of slipping when they need to perform. So Kurt Busch, another one that generally is really good at Bristol, finishes 15th. Austin Dillon, we mentioned, he finishes 12th. Near top 10 finish. That is his worst finish of the first round of the playoffs, which is pretty darn good with a 12th place finish. So that's good for him. Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher, let's go. Chris Buescher finishes 8th. Ryan Preece finishes 9th. And Michael McDowell finishes 10th. Those three guys with a great run on the day at Bristol Motor Speedway. Clint Boyer finishes 6th, was struggling throughout the day. And then when Byron fell out, then Boyer seemed to take off and was able to work his way up to a 6th place finish. Eric Almirola finishes 5th. We mentioned Tyler Reddick, the rookie, finishes 4th place. And again, Eric Jones with his 3rd place finish. Great way to try and pad that resume a little bit as you're looking for a ride heading into the next season, as we don't know where Eric Jones is going yet as of now. Unless news is broken as I'm recording this. I know he was teasing some stuff on Twitter today. So with that, I'm going to take a little pause here. That is your race recap from the, it was the 60th annual Bass Pro Shops NRA night race, Saturday night. Let's see if there's anything else worth mentioning here in the stats. Let's see. We mentioned it was Kevin Harvick's 58th victory, 711 Cup starts. His single season career best 9th victory, 24th top 10 in 2020. It's his 3rd victory, 20th top 10 finish in 40 races at Bristol Motor Speedway. There you go. Eric Jones had his 4th top 10 finish in 8 races at Bristol, and Tyler Reddick was the highest Tyler Reddick was the highest finishing rookie, and this is Ford's 39th victory in the NASCAR Cup Series at Bristol Motor Speedway. All right, we'll pause real quick here, and we'll be back with James in just a few minutes to talk about the news. Lots of news this week. All right, it's time to talk some news, and I have a familiar voice on the other end of the line. James, how's it going?
Hey, my first guest appearance on the podcast.
Right. James is jumping in a little late with us, as I said in the intro. James is... you're not called a new dad because you already were a dad, but
yeah,
a newer dad.
I guess I'm a grizzled veteran at this point, but now I'm a dad of 2, so I joined you in the dad of 2 club.
There you go. You did it the smart way, though.
Well,
maybe.
I don't know. We're learning as we go. But yeah, Lucy Cush, she's here. Actually, she's here with me right now. So
nice.
She's sitting here talking to me for the moment. So if you hear a hear a necessary blip or she talks, then there you go.
There will be no
But-
complaint if she makes an appearance on the show. So,
Yep, she's just kind of looking at me right now, like, what's going on? But Eric, I had to come on. You know, you and I were chatting back and forth. I hemmed and hawed, and I was initially going to take a week off. But there's so much dang news that we got to talk about it, man. There's so much going on.
like we're talking at the level of news like when Jimmy announced he was retiring. Like this is that level, maybe bigger.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's I mean, I don't even know where to start, but you know, we've got drivers moving, we got silly season stuff, we've got a new team with a billionaire owner.
Right.
So
should I know I have it last on the list. Should we start with the big one just in case you got to bail?
that seems like the big one.
Yeah. Let's.
Yeah.
I hear.
Oh no, is it the youngest podcaster in history?
Youngest podcast in history.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we should pause.
Okay.
And let me see if I can take her upstairs really quick.
All right, James is back. Let's talk the
That
big
didn't-
news first, James.
Yeah, that didn't last long, did it? That was a failed experiment. You know, carrying a 5-day-old around trying to podcast is not a great idea. So that's
Right.
a fail.
She was-
Dad fail on my part. So let's
She
get back
was
to
good.
it.
We didn't mind hearing her on the podcast. That was good.
Yeah.
So yeah, biggest news of the week, I think. Denny Hamlin has started a new team with Michael Jordan.
The Michael Jordan.
the
people,
Michael
not,
Jordan.
Not a Michael Jordan. Not Michael B. Jordan, the actor. The Michael Jordan. Basketball superstar Michael Jordan.
Okay, so I have a question for you because I don't think we've ever talked about this. I know you're a huge basketball fan. You're fans of other players and teams and whatever. Is Michael Jordan the best ever?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
no
so,
doubt-
but
no doubt about it.
I don't pay much attention to basketball, but I kind of figured that my thought is he is, but I don't know anything.
You're a hockey guy, and you're probably like, yeah, Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, Michael's not only the greatest basketball player of all time, but probably, I don't know, Erica, he's the most recognizable athlete in the history of American sports.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's, you know his face, you know his image, you see the Jumpman logo, and you immediately, Nike shoes and all that stuff, everything that came with Michael Jordan 30 years ago, for God's sakes,
Right.
and longer. I mean, and Michael coming off the heels of the great Last Dance documentary from earlier this year. So I mean, he's riding a wave of a resurgence here.
Well, and
But
this was
right in
huge news. People that don't cover NASCAR were covering this story. It doesn't get bigger than this for NASCAR, really.
Yeah.
And the other big news that's part of this is Bubba Wallace is going to be the driver.
Yeah, that's huge for him as well.
Right.
Yeah, they've got with Denny Hamlin, obviously you've got that Joe Gibbs tie. So you're going to be getting.
Well, we think, we assume,
we think,
we don't.
Yeah, we assume.
There's not any word on a manufacturer, not any word on a number. But we assume it's going to be the 23 Toyota.
Yeah, for sure. Denny Hamlin or Michael or whatever they're going to call it, Hamlin Jordan Racing or Jordan,
Right.
probably.
Well, I assume
Jordan
it's going to be
Hamlin
Jordan because
Racing.
Jordan's the majority owner. Hamlin is the
He's-
minority owner.
Yeah, Hamlin's more of the partner in this
Right.
deal. Michael's the money man.
Yeah.
But Michael said, he told Dustin Long, I've seen a couple interviews he's done on this now. He ain't coming to the track to finish 18th.
Yeah.
He's coming to the track to win.
I mean,
and,
does Michael Jordan go anywhere to not win? I mean, that's
Well, he's been losing quite a bit as an owner in basketball
Right.
for many years. But when you've got his bankroll, he's got the financial resources and a heck of a partner to boot. And bringing up a big driver, you've got a big part of this, Eric, is you've got a billionaire minority owner bringing on the biggest minority driver in the sport. And
Right.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a great opportunity for Bubba to chart his own path for the rest of his career. I mean, this is huge.
Yeah, it's a big domino to fall. I think we're going to start seeing several other dominoes fall now that we know what Bubba's doing. I mean, this is a surprise, but not. There were rumors of this quite a ways back, and then it was kind of denied that it was happening, which of course it was
Yeah.
denied that it was
Yeah, well,
happening.
they want us to believe that this is 10 days old.
Right.
And I mean, the whispers on this have been out for a month and a half, 2 months.
It
So
started to get kind of late for the announcement. I kind of felt because, I mean, so let's let's put it this way, like they still don't even know where their shop's going to be. They don't
Yeah.
know what cars. I mean, because even they're purchasing the Germain Charter, but
Yep.
they're not going to run Germain cars because those are Chevrolets.
Right.
You know,
You would assume that Denny Hamlin's not going to do that.
Right.
He's a Toyota guy. Yeah.
You're talking this is a team that now is going to have a 1-year gap where they run the old car. They have to put together old cars to be competitive with, and then get ready with the new car the following year.
Yeah.
I mean, we're late on this deal, so it was kind of I just felt like the clock was ticking, and it started to look like maybe it wouldn't happen. But Bubba talking about how he was planning on, going to a winning team and being able to like finally put himself on the line, and like if he can't do it, if he can't do it here, he's not gonna be able to do it. Blah blah blah. It was kind of like, man, would he be talking that way about Hendrick? Because Hendrick's not that good right now.
No.
We really don't. I really don't feel like there's an opening at Stuart Haas, so he had to be talking about this. I mean, he kind of,
Yeah, I think he had his pick of 2 or 3 rides.
Yeah.
I think the 42 we'll talk about in a second. I think that was probably his at any given time. And
yeah, I agree.
And he could have went back to the 43, obviously, as a minority owner in the team. So that was, I guess, your 4th option. I don't know how many you want to go through, but I mean, yeah, this is a bigger, he could sign with Hendrick, right, to drive the 48. Let's say
Right.
that's on the table, and that's great. But who knows? That's a 2-year deal or whatever. That's a short-term deal, and if he doesn't perform, he's out. And
Right.
who knows where he goes? Look at Kyle Larson or Eric Jones right now searching still.
Mhm.
But to team up with Michael and Denny the way that they're doing this, I just feel like that seems like it's long-term security, possibly. I mean, if Michael gets bored and doesn't want to do this anymore, I mean, that's your threat that he's out. But I just think the opportunity to get your hands on some good equipment. I don't think Bubba takes this job without knowing pretty sure that he's going to have some good stuff
Right.
on his hands.
Well,
So
Jordan's not going to skimp, and neither is Denny.
yeah, that's true. Denny knows the sport, man. Denny's been around the sport for dang near 20 years
Yeah.
plus.
Well, and he's also winding down the career, so
And this is his exit plan. He can eventually possibly leave Joe Gibbs Racing and run a few years for his own team, kind of like Tony Stewart did.
Yep.
You look at Kyle Busch, who's had his own team forever in the truck series and dabbled in Xfinity for a little bit. But he's not coming to Cup like this. And Denny
Mhm.
Hamlin's got, I mean, this is as close to the Tony Stewart deal as I've seen, where Denny Hamlin's got this thing carved out, and he gets to keep his seat in the 11, which is pretty cool.
Well, that's the thing. Like, what leads me to believe this could be successful is Tony Stewart.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
This is different, like you said, than Kyle Busch bringing his team to the Xfinity Series
Grassroots
or
style,
coming up to the
right.
Cup. Where, I mean, Kyle is as big as Kyle is, and the money that Kyle has, he's still putting that together to fund itself. And it doesn't have the big backing of a giant, investor and giant sponsors and all this stuff that this team's going to have to go into it. Good. I mean, was this good? Is this a good move on Bubba Wallace's part?
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. On so many fronts. I mean, number one, maybe for him, is he gets a shot at really high level equipment that he's never had since he drove for Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series, really.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing here, Eric, is we're getting a worldwide name attached to NASCAR. Michael's going to be around a little bit, probably not a lot. I wouldn't expect to see him at the track 36 weeks out of the year.
Right.
But we're going to get that pop of Michael Jordan. This is great for Bubba individually, but this is great for our sport. Just to have him around this isn't like the 90s. I mean, Eric, you know this well. This isn't Dan Marino and Brett Favre and
Right.
those guys coming in. And I remember Randy Moss had a Truck Series team for a little bit
Mhm.
too. This has a different feel to it to me.
I agree.
Those guys were-
it's Denny Hamlin being involved. It lends that legitimacy to it.
exactly.
And it's not like it's some back marker that's doing it either. I mean, this is Denny Hamlin. This is a Hall of Famer that now
And
is part of this team. I mean, a future Hall
He's
of
got a
Famer.
great relationship with Michael, right? He's a Jordan Brand athlete, and
Exactly.
other athletes who've come into NASCAR in the past, those guys are millionaires, and that's fine. This is a billionaire.
Right.
This
Well,
is a big name.
Jordan doesn't come across to me as a guy that's going to come in here, put a year or two into it, and go, this is not working. I'm going somewhere else. He's going to put the
Yeah.
effort in that it's going to require to be successful. And
And he knows NASCAR. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, from what he's been talking, I mean, he grew up in North Carolina. He knows the sport in some extent. I mean, I seen pictures of him floating around with Richard Petty in the 80s. You know, that's pretty cool stuff. So
yeah,
I'm sure he's not watching it every week, and it probably wasn't during his heyday. But you know, I mean, he's familiar with this. So you know, great friend in Denny Hamlin. Great opportunity here. Love what Denny did. And I'm looking forward to seeing what this team can be. Maybe not next year. I don't have high expectations right off the
No.
bat, but
next
2
year's a
years from now.
transition year. Yeah,
2 years from now.
2 years. I'm really excited to see NASCAR in 2022 because I think with this new car, I really think that these teams, there's a lot of people that are counting on that 2022, that new car to be successful and to make their system work. And I think we could go back to, having more teams than there are spots to fill, in a field.
more legit teams, a depth of talent that is a little bit more than what we have now, which, I feel like the sport is fairly thin.
Yeah.
But we can pack in some more competitive cars more towards the middle of the field now, again, where we're lacking some of that speed.
Right. Let's bounce around a little bit here. We're going to talk about some silly season stuff. I want to go back up to not really a whole lot of news here, but Matt DiBenedetto says the Wood brothers have till the end of the month to renew his contract. I was listening to, I think it was Dave Moody on Sirius today. It was, I don't know. I listened to a bunch of podcasts this week too. It might have been the Positive Regression podcast I was listening to today. I don't know. One of them mentioned the fact that Matt DiBenedetto signed a contract last year, pre-COVID, to run this team, and that might be the holding point, is the fact that he might be a more expensive option than, say, an Austin Cindric or a Chase Briscoe for this ride. But we'll know before the end of the month on whether they're going to at least pick up his option or renegotiate or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you think Matty D's back?
It's starting to look like it's not. I feel
It
like
is, isn't it?
Yeah, and honestly, Eric, if you're Wood Brothers, you've got to keep your options open with some of this talent that's coming up. I mean, Matt's great. He got him into the playoffs, and that is a huge step for that team. But man, that team had Ryan Blaney not that long ago, and they were really good with him.
Yep.
And I think they've got their eyes on a Cindric or a Briscoe, and they think maybe they can get back to victory lane with one of those guys. Whereas, maybe that's not. We have high hopes for Matt DiBenedetto, but he just hasn't been able to do it. And he's had this is 2 years in a row where he's had pretty good equipment. That 95 car he ran last year was pretty good, pretty solid
and
ride.
this was a step up, and he's gone backwards. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah,
he has not lived up to expectations, and yes, it's a anomaly of a year, but still, he hasn't lived up to expectations.
Yeah. No, and it sucks. I mean, he's not getting the seat time, and there's a ton of excuses. You can go through the list on it, but it just sucks. But but if you're the Wood Brothers, you've got to keep your eyes open for a possible superstar that you can market a little bit more to. I know Menards is stepping back on sponsorship, so that's going to hurt them a little bit there.
Right.
So there's a lot of things going on around the Wood Brothers, but I think I think they just got to wait and see. And if we get to the end of the month, which is I think next week,
right.
We'll know what the Wood Brothers are going to do.
Yeah, and this makes me want to bring up too. It's not the notes, but Eric Jones tweeted a little tease about flames on his cars in the past today, kind of hinting that what he might potentially be going to. And of course, everybody's screaming the Hendrick thing because of the 24 car, but you note that the 37 car has flames on the current paint scheme as well.
Yeah.
Dale Jr. actually, his podcast this week changed my opinion on Eric Jones. And, I still love Eric Jones. I think he's a great driver. I think he deserves a shot at a top team. The problem is that there are other drivers in line right now that should get a shot before him, because Eric Jones had top-notch equipment the last several years. He didn't make the playoffs in a Joe Gibbs car this year. He missed the playoffs with somebody who technically missed 2 races, because Jimmy Johnson missed a race because of COVID and then was disqualified from a race. You know, this is the territory that Eric Jones was in without missing a race.
Yeah.
He just hasn't shown that what he can do, and maybe it's not because he's a bad driver. I don't think it is, but now there's other people that deserve a chance to give it a shot in a top ride, and I think he's out for that Hendrick car. I think I think the whole Larson rumor is what's going to end up happening there.
Yeah, and which is hard because you say Eric Jones, had his shot.
Right.
So did Kyle Larson.
True. True.
Um,
Kyle's wasn't because of performance, but I understand. I hear what you're saying.
let me just play devil's advocate on that really
Okay.
quick. 2.5 years into Chase Elliott's career, would Dale Jr. have said that about Chase Elliott,
True.
who is the same age as Eric Jones?
True.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a good point.
honestly, obviously, Chase Elliott had his breakthrough, but he's also got long-term stability with Hendrick Motorsports. Eric Jones has never had long-term stability. If you remember, Eric, he came in driving for Furniture Row Racing,
Right.
and then hopped into the 20 car, and he's been bounced in and out. But statistically, they're not that far apart.
Right.
Average finish-wise, I mean, Eric Jones is not that far off from Chase Elliott, but I'm just saying if Dale was talking about that Hendrick connection there with one of his guys, I don't think he'd be saying that. I think he'd be saying, "Oh, you got to give him more time. You got to get him in a top tier ride."
Are you suggesting that he might have some bias?
I'm just saying. Maybe. I don't. And now look at Chase Elliott though. I mean, I want to be fair. Chase Elliott did eventually that third season. Late in that season, he popped. He hit that.
Right.
He got that first win, and he's battled through it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Eric Jones does not have that long-term stability and long-term opportunity. But Eric Jones is also, he's got a Southern 500. That's a pretty tough race to win. He's got a win at Daytona. William Byron's kind of going through that as well, where he's got one of those wins at Daytona too. So, I want to be careful. I still think there's a top-tier ride out there for Eric Jones. Even if he takes a 1 year, I'd hate to see him take a 1 year, puddle jump for lack of a better term, where he hops into the 37, let's say, and then maybe a seat opens up.
37's not an awful car.
No, but if he can go back, and let's say he does take that ride, if he can go back and prove something there,
Right.
Maybe he
He could
can
definitely rebuild his career there.
Yeah, and you're right now. I mean, Ricky Stenhouse has not done anything to rebuild his career.
Right.
So
Right.
if he can do better than that, then that would probably show somebody something.
That's true. Ty Dillon, obviously losing his opportunity with Germain Racing with that sale. A lot of talk has been throughout the season, a lot of rumors that he was looking to retire. He says he's not ready to retire. He wants to continue racing next season, and he's on the search for a ride as well.
Does Pop try to get him something?
I don't know.
Even if it's an Xfinity ride or something.
I hope so. I like Ty. I like Ty a lot. I want to see him get an opportunity. I kind of feel like if there was an opportunity in the Cup Series with RCR, that he'd already be there.
Reddick's got him boxed out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been good, man. He ain't going anywhere. I mean,
you're right though. Maybe slap him in an Xfinity car. I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, keep him in this.
Does Ty really want to go back to Xfinity? I mean,
he's 28 years old. He's at that point now where you don't want to go back, but maybe he's like an all-guyer. Maybe that's not a bad career to have. I mean, you can make a good living that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, if he keeps his options open, go ahead, compete for championships. And I mean, what does he want to do? Does he want to continue driving for a team like Germain? Does he want to be like Daniel Suarez right now, or does he want to, I don't know, go try to win something? I feel like he's got some. He may have more options than we think. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's certainly an option in the 43 car, which is open right now. There's, we could potentially see that 37 car be an option. There's a few options out there, so who knows?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, like you said, Eric, you nailed it with the Dale Jr. download there. I mean, there's guys who deserve opportunities. Ty's.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he's not one of the guys who deserves a higher opportunity. He's gonna have to go back and do something with it.
Yeah, he's gonna have to take a parallel line or step back. But
exactly.
Though I think there'll be an opportunity there for him. It's just not going to be, like you said, it's not going to be an A+ ride.
No, and he doesn't. Yeah, he hasn't done anything on the track to get one of those either. So he's got some time.
One driver who's not, I don't know, he's getting an A+ ride, but he's certainly getting a B+ A ride.
Yeah, tier 2 ride, I think.
Yeah, Ross Chastain announced as the driver of the number 42, ironically, right after the announcement of Bubba Wallace, or right before.
Yeah.
Was it
Right
before or
before,
after? It was
yeah.
right before.
It was before. Yeah, it was in the morning. That was a big news day, man.
Yeah.
That was the first news of the day, and we already had forgotten about it by noon.
Yep. So, I mean, good on Ross Chastain. I mean, he's been in the pipeline for Chip Ganassi for a while, and obviously Kenseth isn't doing what they need to do there. Kenseth did what they needed to do with what happened with Larson. He came in, he made the sponsors happy, he gave them okay performance, but mostly it was you got somebody who you can trust, who's not going to piss somebody off, he's not going to do something stupid, and they got that. Now he's served that purpose. He's out. Chastain gets a chance at the ride. I think this is why Chastain didn't go in when Kenseth did, to be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You needed, how do you replace a Kyle Larson unless you're getting the next great thing,
Right.
Right away? Which you go back, you get a champion, and you stabilize, or stabilize. I just don't know. I don't know if Matt did more harm than good there with how bad that team has been. But I mean, he did almost win the Brickyard 400. I mean, he was there. So
I think Matt knew he was in for a challenge, but I think he underestimated what that challenge was going to be with this new car and no practice.
Yeah, I feel like that might be one of my great wins on the season because I was out from the from the get-go on poor Matt Kenseth. But
yeah, you're right.
That was the only. I think
you've
that
been
might be
out
the
on
only thing
Matt.
I got right.
You've been out on Matt Kenseth for like 4 years, man.
That's true. That's true.
Except for the time that I said he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because he
oh yeah, that's right.
then you guys jumped down my throat. But aside from that, you're against Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah, that did happen. I did hop on the Kenseth bandwagon for the Hall of Fame. Yeah,
big time.
Yeah. But good for Ross, right? I mean,
yeah.
Not having the year he wants in Xfinity, but he's he's in the championship hunt. So
Ross Chastain is having a Kyle Busch type of year where Kyle's pissed because he's finishing second. He's having a spectacular year in the Xfinity Series.
He just hasn't 7.9 average finish. I know he wants wins.
Right.
But I mean, 23 top 10s in 26 races. I mean, he's one of the guys. He's just got to break through and get some wins. But he's in the hunt.
Yep.
He's there.
Yep.
Good for him though. I mean, I think this is more of a financial move too, Eric. You're probably getting Ross Chastain on a pretty nice deal with some sponsorship he's going to be bringing. So,
and I think that there's been some kind of talk that Colleague Racing's planning on running a part-time car next year, and I would assume that we'll probably still see him in a Colleague Xfinity car a few times as well.
Helping that team out. He likes running all these series. I mean, he's run. Gosh, man, he's almost at 100 Truck Series starts. He's almost at 200 Xfinity starts, and really he's right at 80 Cup Series starts. So he's got a lot of seat time, and I think it's going to be a good move for that team. I don't know if he's going to. I mean, it's not Kyle Larson,
right?
And that's hard. But he's been in the pipeline. I think he deserves this shot.
He's got some talent. We'll see what he can do with it in a Cup car, but in a good Cup car. But he's definitely got some talent. We'll see.
Yeah,
for sure.
If he can elevate that team a little bit, from where Matt Kenseth has it. He's got to outperform Kurt Busch, I think.
Yeah. At
this point in Kurt's career, he's got to go there and he's got to be their A driver. He's got to go there and be their A driver, I think. And he's got the seat time. He doesn't have a.
Does he have to be their A driver right off the top, James?
I think so.
He has to come in as basically a rookie and outperform Kurt.
Exactly. He's not. And exactly. That's it. I think he's.
He's not a rookie.
No, he's definitely not a rookie.
Right.
But at this point in Kurt's career, he's got to outperform Kurt. You got to go there and outperform Kurt, and as long as he's outperforming Kurt, you keep him around. This is, that's a good. That would be a good stable driver. Go out and make the playoffs next year. I think that's realistic for that guy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Yep.
I think that's all it for silly season news. I highly expect that by the time we do this podcast next week that we're going to have an announcement on Eric Jones, just the way he's hinting. We'll see what else we get, but the dominoes are starting to fall. I thought maybe more would fall before we recorded this, but not quite
Twitter
yet.
Just to make sure.
I know I scrolled through it before you got on. So, but we do have some track news. There was a rumor right before we went to Bristol, I think is when it came up, that they are exploring the opportunity of within the next couple of years putting dirt down at Bristol again and running a dirt race there. And when they first talked about it, there were no series discussed. It was just that they might go to dirt. If you remember, the World of Outlaws ran there on dirt in 2000, 2001. But since then, it has been rumored even more so that it might be a cup race on dirt at Bristol Motor Speedway. So before we talk about whether that's a good idea, James, I'm going to ask you this because I mentioned it in the chat today when you and I and Todd were talking, but total slap in the face of Tony Stewart.
Kind of.
I mean, Stewart's been trying to get a cup race at Eldora since the truck started there.
Yeah, I'd be a little miffed if I were him. And then we don't know if Tony's gonna get that race back
Right.
after COVID. So, dude, I think you're onto something there. But I think NASCAR wants that infrastructure. If they're gonna do it, they want the
They're going to
seating
want to
capacity.
pack the stands for that sucker.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
there's really no, I mean, I know that a lot of people are saying that it should be a true dirt track that does this, but there is not a dirt track that has the infrastructure that Bristol Motor Speedway has to run one of these.
No.
And that April race has been a nothing race forever.
Pandemic before the pandemic. Yeah, that's what I said in the chat too. It's like, yeah, I mean that spring race it's basically been a COVID race for 5 years.
Yeah, nobody cares about
what
the
it
spring race. So if you want to take that spring race and make it worth something, you put dirt down on that track and you run it. Heck, I mean, you can run it under lights. So you got 2 nights of dirt at Bristol every year. I mean, it would definitely fix the April race. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. I'd rather see them at Eldora, but you don't have to put safer barriers in here. They're already there. You don't have to do all this stuff. You don't have to add seats. You don't have to add roads. You don't have to bring in cell towers. All that stuff is already there.
Yeah, I mean, the infrastructure's there. I just don't know. I think we're all skeptical, right?
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, and the drivers are too. Brad Keselowski talked about it today. He said he basically only has like 1% of the information, so to form an opinion, it's tough. But Cup drivers are worried about tires and all this stuff, and I mean,
you and I saw Brad Keselowski run a dirt race at Eldora in trucks.
It wasn't pretty.
Of course, he wants to keep it on the concrete, right?
Right.
But if you're the Dillon boys, you're licking your chops, I guess.
I mean, I know we're skeptical, but I mean, does this excite you at all? Does it seem like a cool idea, or do you just think it sucks?
I don't know. I listen. I'm not going to bury this and say this is the worst thing I've ever heard. I saw Jeff Gluck do that. Sorry, Jeff. Shout outs and congratulations to Jeff Gluck. By the way, he's gonna join us in the 2 Kid Club.
Yep.
In March. But I don't want to go as far as Jeff went and say that like it's a travesty. Like it's not that. I just don't know. I just don't know what to do with it just yet. I'm still trying to process.
I just don't. I understand the infrastructure aspect, but why make a temporary dirt track when there's all kinds of permanent ones?
Yeah, and just fix I said this last week. Just fix the banking on the current track, and let's make it what it was. I don't know.
If you're gonna bring in tons of dirt, just rip the concrete up and bank it correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. The other racetrack news that we got is the All-Star race is moving. James, is it moving somewhere good?
I saw this and couldn't believe it.
So the All-Star race is going to become even less relevant than ever by moving to Texas Motor Speedway in 2021. Woohoo!
Yeah, it's boy. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do a worse job. You could put it at Indy, but that's about the only way you could pick a worse track.
Yeah, there's not many Poconos on that list.
Pocono. I mean, I guess I think Michigan would be a little. No, Michigan probably be worse than this too. But
Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see Texas tweeted out though something about a Roval today. So
now that would be interesting.
Yeah, that might be something. But
I would get on board with that if we were going to run a Roval at Texas for the All-Star race. I would be all right with that.
Yeah, they got to do something. Texas has been what, a top 3 worst track in the sport for the last couple of years. It's not great.
It's been bad.
Since they repaved it, it's been worse than it was.
And I every year try to get excited about a Texas race, and it's just not worth it. It's so bad.
Broken. Yeah.
So they're
loses,
at least they lose. They lose a points race, so that's good.
Yeah.
But
we go from an all-star race where we actually took the all-star race to a short track, and now we're going to start moving this thing around. But yeah, Texas.
I mean, is Texas just the placeholder before they move it to the new California track?
Yeah, California could be on that list. Yeah. Yep.
But the good news that comes with this, James, is that it also opens the door and sounds like it's not confirmed, but sounds like people are pretty confident that next year we will have a cup race at Circuit of the Americas in Austin. I don't know how good Circuit of the Americas is going to be with a cup car,
Yeah,
but
we've got.
I'm excited about it. It's a world-class facility.
Yeah, it's great. NASCAR has run F1 type tracks before, like
Yep.
Montreal, and I loved that.
Montreal and Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, Watkins Glen, I guess you could say, is
Yeah.
an old. I mean, if you're going old school F1, but Tony Stewart has run a Cup car at Coda, so I mean, there's tape of what a Cup car looks like out there.
Yep.
Fairly recently. So
And Tony said it could be done. I mean, he was pretty adamant that they could race there. So I'll be interested to see if they run. There's two versions of the track. There's a long version and a short version.
The road course, I like it.
I hope they don't run the short version because I think the long version's better. Like I said, it's a beautiful place. It's a fun track. I was watching some iRacing stuff of somebody running it the other day, and I mean, it's the S's are slow and loose, but I'm excited. I mean, new tracks in the Cup Series, I'll take it.
It's better than adding another Roval. It's
Right.
better than telling us we're going back to Daytona again.
Yeah.
So
And then
this is
so the interesting part of the news that came with this is one of the reporters tweeted that this would be one of 4 new tracks that could be added to the schedule next year. And we already know Nashville Super Speedway is being added. So this would make 2. What are the other 2?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it the only 2 I can think of is Gateway
Yeah.
and Iowa.
Yep.
Or
Those are-
maybe Rockingham?
I don't think so. That place is in pretty bad shape. For last I saw,
I don't think it's that bad, but I just don't think we ever get cut back at Rockingham.
Yeah, I don't think the grandstands are in very good shape.
Is
I
that
think
it?
that's the problem. I think so.
Okay.
Last I had seen, it was in pretty bad shape.
I mean,
So,
other
yeah,
than maybe add another road course.
I'm trying to think of where else we could go.
I mean, you could do Elkhart Lake. You could do Mid Ohio.
Road Atlanta. I'm just throwing them out there. I don't think that's a hit, but that's weird. Yeah, I don't know.
There's just not a lot of options that could possibly be it.
I'm
So
worried about Iowa. I don't think that's it.
I don't think so either.
Maybe
I don't know.
Iowa could do it.
After watching Richmond, I don't know that I want Iowa on the schedule, but Iowa's put on some good Xfinity races, so hard to say.
For sure. Yeah, I don't know, Eric. I'm as clueless on. Really have no feel for what they're going to do there.
Me neither.
Usually,
And
I think-
supposedly we were going to get an announcement this week about the schedule. We still haven't gotten that.
Yeah, you and I are pretty good at being in somewhere in the neighborhood of what NASCAR is kind of thinking.
Right.
You know, we've watched the sport for many years, and we can usually, if we don't get it right, we're usually not that far off. But
Pre-COVID.
this is one I don't have a feel at all for what they're thinking here.
Well, and so I have a question. We're getting all these changes. We got new rules this year. We tried weeknight races, did all this stuff. We're adding tracks next year, like left and right. We're taking a 2-mile track and turning it into a short track. We're talking about putting dirt at Bristol. Are we going too crazy?
Hey, listen, we've had the same schedule for many years, Eric, very close to it. So if they want to get wacky, get wacky. I'm going to throw my hands up. I'm not okay. I'm good with it. I'm
Okay.
good with a little bit
I am too, but I'm like worried that I'm getting too excited about all these changes and that
a lot of
they're
different,
just
which is
flipping
good.
things upside down.
Eric, this is what we've always wanted, though. We've
Yeah.
wanted some different stuff, and even if we don't like some of the decisions, at least it's different. So we've got that going for us.
Yeah. So, all right. Any news that I missed, James?
No spectators at Vegas.
That's right. Yes. I jumped over that one. No spectators at Vegas. This could have been a bigger story with Sunday Night Football in Las Vegas this weekend. Had they had fans there for that, I know there were a lot of people ready to jump down the officials in Vegas's throats over that decision, but there were no spectators at the football game either. So, I mean, it sucks, but hey, it's COVID. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So, all right. Any other news I missed?
No, I think we're good, man. That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Yeah, it's big stuff. I mean, there's not a ton extra to talk about, but I mean, it was a big week for sure. And
Big week.
we still got 7 weeks of the season left before
I know.
we're wrapped up.
It's going to keep coming. Next week's going to have news too. So
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, you still good, James? Are we moving into picks?
Let's move. Yeah, let's rip these picks
All right.
out quick, and I'll let you. Well, you'll let me out of here, I guess.
Yeah. South Point 400 Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. Real quick recap of last week. I had Kyle Busch over James' Chase Elliott. That got me a point. And James picked Christopher Bell over my Eric Jones. Did I have Eric Jones wrong? Did Eric Jones beat Christopher Bell?
I think Eric Jones beat Christopher Bell. Let's hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
He did because he finished fourth.
Yeah, get your point.
Yeah,
get your point.
So I get a point there. I don't know how the heck I screwed that up.
You are. Oh man, I should have.
You shouldn't have. So it is 38-30. Jeez, I'm terrible at this. I should never do this. I should always let you do it.
Yeah, I know it's good.
All right.
I didn't want to say anything, but it's getting a little.
So there you go.
I'm worried about the integrity of the scoreboard.
Right? Yeah, I'm terrible. I don't know how I screwed that up. So anyway, so I got both points this weekend. Almost got an extra point with Kyle Busch, but
You did. Yeah, I was worried.
Harvick denied me. With that, see, I don't think I had Eric Jones. I thought I had. I must have. I don't know. I thought I had Ricky Stenhouse was my pick.
I'm gonna let you review the scorecard.
Yeah, I'll review the scorecard and fix it if I need to because I
think you're
swear.
fine. I think you're fine, but yeah.
Let me look
I
real
think we're
quick.
good.
Hold on, I'm looking really fast.
I assumed I had lost both, so, and I didn't check.
Oh, I see what I did. I was looking at the week prior.
Yeah, I was a little busy on Saturday night, so I didn't.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I didn't check.
I figured out. I see how I screwed it up now. So okay. All right, so I got 2 points. Anyway, we go to Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. James, you get first pick. Who you going with?
Okay, well, as you know, I need wins.
I know who you're
Kevin
going
Harvick.
with. I knew you were going with Harvick because if
I
you
got to.
didn't,
What am
I was
supposed
going
to do?
He's. I mean, historically, he's not the one you would choose. You would choose a Penske guy.
I would take Joey Logano, but I need wins, and
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick's got them all. So
Well, I am not going to go with Joey Logano either, but I am going to go with his teammate Brad Keselowski as my pick for this one.
Nice.
Stick with the Penske train.
Yeah. I will say in the spring, Harvick led 92 laps here. Before this is pre-pandemic, by the way.
Yeah.
So
non-playoff driver, I get the first pick here. And my thought, James, is that with non-playoff driver, it is people who are not in the playoffs currently. So even the four that just fell out could be picked.
I agree.
Now. Okay.
Yep. If you're not in the playoff contingent, you are eligible. So
that being said, it would make sense for me because he is not. Well, I guess both my drivers are eligible. Both the ones I was. Ryan Blaney seems like the logical pick, but I'm going to go Matt DiBenedetto instead.
yeah, second place in the spring.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm going for. Is he's got the pressure off of the playoffs now. He can go out and win a race. So he's my pick for non-playoff.
Okay. I'm a little bit worried about Blaney. I was going to pick him as my guy, but I just don't like the way that they're running. So for a non-playoff guy, you know what? I was going to go Byron. Give me Jimmy Johnson.
It's a good one.
Yep, he finished 5th in the spring. Really weird spring race. Ricky Stenhouse and Austin Dillon. Austin Dillon would have been a good pick.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think that dude's coming.
I think you missed it because I recorded without you beforehand, but I pick Austin Dillon now to move out of this next round as well.
Yeah, he's got a chance.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
all right, hit the fantasy league here real quick. I actually got it pulled up, James, so you didn't have to look at it.
Nice.
The reason I do that is because I got the win this week.
You did.
James still managed as a 4th place finish despite all his excitement this weekend.
Yeah, I did. I made one swap and it was a bad one. Blaney Keselowski for Boyer ruined me. So
There you go.
that's all right.
Yeah, Keselowski with the power steering issue.
Yeah.
Denny the Many finished 2nd, Barron Speedway. Then James, Ranger Runyon Freight Train. Oh, ouch for Freight Train. Jay Wint, Justin 713 was our order. And looking at the current standings, Freight Train leads, Ranger Runyon, James hanging out in 3rd, Denny the Many, Justin 713. And in the playoffs, James is leading the playoff battle, 611 to 573 over Todd Freight Train.
Yes.
295. So there you go.
I can win the playoffs. I will lord that over Todd for a while.
There you go. Yeah. James, I know you didn't have a chance to prepare because you weren't sure you were going to be here for this part of the show, but you got a shout out this week?
Yeah. Well, since you don't have it, Fox FS1 Race Hub. They're
Yes.
going to do the Days of Thunder making of 2-part documentary thing.
That is awesome.
I'm all in. Yep.
I'm very
I
excited.
know you're
about
all
that.
into.
For sure. My shout out quick is Alan Bestwick. It's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Alan.
Alan, we want you back. We want you back in the Cup Series, announcing the Cup
Yeah,
Series.
Yep, I agree.
I love Rick Allen, but let's get Alan
Look at
Bestwick
the other
in
Alan.
there.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. I know. Rick's good. Rick's good.
Yeah. Real quick too, if you haven't had a chance to, there's some great podcasts this week. But Dale Jr. has Larry McReynolds on, which is spectacular, as you would imagine. We only get to Davey Allison in Larry McReynolds' career, but it's still a great podcast. And then James's buddy Ryan McGee is on Door Bumper Clear, which is also spectacular. So check that out as well. James, where can they find you on social media if they want to get some baby pictures?
At James Cush on Instagram if you want to see baby pictures. I did put one or two up there. So there you go.
There you go. You can find him on Twitter as well, the same account. I'm at T Super Speedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find old episodes, links to show notes, all the articles we discussed today. Check that out there, thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud, wherever you found us today. We hope you continue to subscribe. Thanks to James for coming on the show today. Glad to have him, even though we weren't sure we were going to have him. Hopefully next week we'll be back to normal.
I sneaked in. I
There
did.
you go. There you go. But if he takes next week off, I won't hold it against him. So
Yeah, we're figuring it out, man.
if you want to become a part of the show, you can become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend. We start the round of 12. It's the South Point 400. One of us at least will be back next week to discuss it and break it all down and continue on. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.